Just months after Christian Horner's departure as team principal, another major shockwave struck Red Bull Racing. The Formula One world was once again rocked by reports from top journalists, including Eric Van Haren of De Telegraph, that Dr. Helmut Marko, a central figure in Red Bull's long history, would be leaving his position as motorsport advisor at the end of the year. This news immediately sent shockwaves through the paddock, as Helmut Marko was more than just a high-ranking official. He was a key foundation for Red Bull's identity and success for nearly 2 decades. Since Red Bull's debut in Formula One in 2005, Marko has been at the heart of operations. He was the right-hand man to the late Dietrich Mateschitz, Red Bull's founder, and the man who transformed the energy drink team into a major force in motorsport. Within the Red Bull Junior Team program, which he led, Marko was known for his toughness, discipline, and uncompromising nature. He often made extreme decisions, dropping drivers who didn't meet his high standards, but it was precisely through this decisiveness that Red Bull discovered extraordinary talents like Sebastian Vettel, Daniel Ricciardo, Carlos Sainz, Pierre Gasly, and others. Under his leadership, Red Bull entered a glorious era. They won 4 constructors' titles, and Sebastian Vettel won 4 consecutive world titles. But of all the drivers Marko trusted, the most special, the most phenomenal, and the one that most determined Red Bull's future was Max Verstappen. Marko recognized Verstappen's talent when he was just 16 years old, and immediately fell in love with his speed and aggression. At a time when the racing world was still skeptical about Verstappen, and at a time when the FIA hadn't even considered a minimum age regulation, Marko made the boldest move in modern F1 history, giving Verstappen an F1 seat at just 17 with Toro Rosso. A decision that was called crazy, irresponsible, and even dangerous, but ultimately proved to be the most genius move of Helmut Marko's career. Verstappen immediately demonstrated extraordinary talent. Just a year later, he won his first race with Red Bull in Spain in 2016. And since then, Marko and Verstappen's relationship has grown into one of trust and loyalty. Verstappen even stated that his future at Red Bull depended heavily on Helmut Marko's presence on the team. When Red Bull faced various internal problems this year, Verstappen publicly defended Marko. Because for Verstappen, Marko wasn't just a boss. He was the person who paved the way for his career. Now, with Helmut Marko's departure, that entire structure of loyalty has changed. What had previously been the foundation of Verstappen's relationship with Red Bull is now beginning to crumble. Internal sources say Marko's departure is part of a major restructuring at Red Bull following the death of Dietrich Mateschitz. The new CEO, Oliver Mintzlaff, wants to run Red Bull with a more corporate management structure. The old system, where Marko and Christian Horner often pulled the team in different directions, is no longer considered suitable. Reports have even emerged that Marko has made decisions without management's permission, including signing junior drivers without their approval. This has led Red Bull's top management to feel that Marko's control is too great. Marko's contract, which was supposed to run until 2026, has now been terminated early. This means that 2 of Red Bull's most important figures of the past 2 decades, Horner and Marko, are gone in the same year. It's no surprise that the entire paddock is now looking ahead to Max Verstappen's future. Although Verstappen is still under contract until 2028, F1 contracts typically have special clauses, including a key personnel clause that allows drivers to leave if someone important in their career leaves the team. And Helmut Marko is that key person. While Verstappen is almost certain to remain with Red Bull until 2026 to see out the new engine regulations, all major discussions now point to 2027. 2 teams are at the top of the list as potential destinations for Verstappen: Mercedes and Aston Martin. Mercedes needs a star driver after their long era ended and their performance declined since 2022. Toto Wolff has long admired Verstappen and has never hidden his desire to one day bring the world champion to Mercedes. Even when asked a few years ago, Wolff joked that the Mercedes door was open to both Verstappen and Helmut Marko. Now that Marko is out of contract and Verstappen may be looking elsewhere, this rumor seems even more plausible than before. However, Aston Martin is also in a very attractive position. With Lawrence Stroll's significant investment, a new world-class facility, the recruitment of top engineers, and Honda engines from 2026, Aston Martin is on the verge of becoming a world-class team. Building an ambitious project. Verstappen's relationship with Honda is deep. It was with them that Verstappen won his first world title. A move to Aston Martin opens the door to a reunion with Honda in a factory team format. Many observers say this scenario could be more enticing than Mercedes, as Verstappen could be at the center of a major project built from scratch. Verstappen is currently still at Red Bull, but Marko's departure has drastically changed the atmosphere. The Red Bull he knew as a teenager is no longer the same team. The structure has changed, old faces have left, and internal dynamics have become increasingly different. While the 2026 season will be exciting, the biggest drama will unfold behind the scenes leading up to the 2027 season. Mercedes and Aston Martin are already preparing their big offers. They know the opportunity to acquire Verstappen is a once-in-a-generation opportunity. If Verstappen does decide to leave, the entire Formula One power structure could be completely transformed. This move could be the most historic transfer since Hamilton's move to Mercedes, perhaps even bigger. And with Marko now out of contract, the possibility of the Marko and Verstappen duo reuniting at a new team is becoming a very likely scenario. All eyes are now on Verstappen's next move. Formula One is on the verge of major changes, and Max's decision in the next few months could be the most dramatic turning point in the last decade. Right now, only one thing is certain. The future of F1 will never be the same again after Helmut Marko's departure from Red Bull Racing.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up!